again. If it lets me hit
What?
the button.
You won't have all of our
Even
ramble in there?
No, so Charlotte, what you were saying was
I want to go into, we were joking about this, but I want to go into the gazebo dimension, pocket dimension. I want someplace where I can bring people to me that is outside of influencing other events as much as possible. And at which point Adam said, "Oh my gosh, Charlotte creates the grove."
and all of the statues are the former members of the Hidden Family. No. Yeah, unfortunately, the annoying thing is you kind of have to let that go, otherwise it has ridiculous number of possible ramifications or whatever. But yeah, basically you recreate the Twilight Grove. That's a fantastic. I love it. Super cool. We don't even have to take Harry's like base away. It's just that Charlotte made it 200 years ago. Wait, what?
Well, at one point they did say that the grove was made by another magus.
Yeah.
We're just coming full circle now.
It's just finally true. And it wasn't one of the previous ones. It was one of the later ones.
Well, when they're all hopping around in time, who can tell?
Well, they don't
wibbly
all.
wobbly timey wimey
To
stuff.
be fair, they don't all do that. Okay, so you want to. I feel like that's unleash your powers.
In a very, very careful and controlled fashion among all the time shards.
Actually, hang on a second here, because I feel like, I know you've got advances you've never used. Isn't there a use your powers adult move?
There is.
We actually talked about me taking it.
What? Can you? I
also have actually a moment of truth on there somewhere too, but I think that you kind of did that for me.
You did a moment of truth. I don't know. No, I didn't do anything with that. You rolled a 14 on your freaking provoke. I didn't really need to do much else. He was convinced. When you convince one of the most powerful beings on the planet to do a thing you ask for, it's pretty much done at that point. The trick is, of course, to convince them. I'm still kind of in boot up mode here, so I can't look. Hang on, I'm getting there. Supers, masks, not playbooks.
Did you start recording again?
I did. I've been recording since I asked Charlotte what the heck she was doing. That part came up. I just couldn't get my Explorer to go up. So basic moves. I don't think I have a thing for the. Maybe I'll just grab the dang book. That would make sense. Where are the adult moves? Tells you how often I look at the book.
Very
Oh, adult moves. I see it. Wield your power. Wield your power. Not unleash. Wield. Roll freak. On a hit, choose 1. On a 10, choose 2.
My freak is not my best right now, but let's see how we can do.
Hey, the encounter's over. So you can switch them back.
No, mine is not. Mine is not the same as Summer's.
Yeah, that's not.
Mine was. Guess what?
And hers isn't so much like switch when the encounter's over. It's switch once per session kind of a thing.
Charlotte, do you need some talking up here?
Look at that.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was with a freak of 1. Look at that. Look at that.
6 and a 5 gets us a 12. That is a beautiful thing. All right. I do like that Adam was right there to help, though. That's really good. When you wield your powers with precision or grace, roll freak. On a hit, choose 1. On a 10 plus, choose 2. Take hold of something vulnerable to you. It's probably not relevant at this point. You kind of don't want to, because all the vulnerable things. Yeah.
They'll break.
We're just going to leave all the vulnerable things alone. Create something useful from your environment. Neutralize an opponent or threat, at least for now. Well, I'm curious about that. Well, obviously one of them is going to be.
Is it use your power or?
It's wield your power. It is in the expanded book. It's on page 140.
No, that's okay. I'm just writing a note in here so we have it.
So yeah, it's wield your power. The option.
It's also on the basic moves page. Or no, not on the basic.
It's on the back. It's on the back of the little
of the basic moves.
Round thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because unleashing your powers is trying something you're not really sure you can pull off. Wielding your powers is doing something with mastery and control that you know exactly, like you get exactly the effect you want. But it doesn't necessarily get you the same things. Like, you know,
They-
like
they did-
if they did
they
a
did
great job. They did.
They
They
did specifically make it so that they didn't necessarily cover the same ground.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
could.
they're different moves.
They really are. They're not a supplant. You know, if you're trying to overcome some barrier that you're not sure how to, you know, wielding your powers is not really the move for that, unless you can see clear to see how this thing you need to overcome like is something you can seize or take
It's-
away or neutral. You know, it's not the
But
same thing as
it's more like what Adam was trying to do.
yeah,
You know, he knew he could get to the other end, and what he wanted to do was do it with
yeah.
finesse and care.
Except in his case, he was still kind of doing it as an unleash. It's just an unleash he knew he could get a 10 on, so he was overcoming the barrier of time and space and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely this. It's definitely like, you know, I will have control over this thing. Okay, so
I think it's the second one, isn't it?
the second option.
Create something from your environment.
Yes, come useful from your environment. So you can just you look back out there and it's kind of well, I don't know. What's this look like? Do you take the
It's
gazebo?
the gazebo.
Once everybody
Yeah.
leaves, you just kind of like take a space that's surrounding the gazebo and make it into the twilight as that's the heart of the Twilight Grove. Or do you, maybe not you take that, but you create a space that is like a copy of the gazebo, like
Yeah,
that
I mean,
space.
basically what I'm replicating is the gazebo space that Everard took me to,
So
that I
you,
then blew up.
you picture it in your mind, and then you just expand the picture in your mind until your mind is inside the picture. And suddenly I feel like I'm GMing Amber again. Or Nobilis for that matter.
It's because they Nobilis.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a very Nobilis thing. All right, so and yeah, you basically take yourself out of that space and in not interacting with any of that space time, you are safe, and more importantly, so is everything around you that you can mess up. There's some voices whispering in your head as you're doing this, previous magi, bits of advice whispering, complaining, a lot of complaining, in various voices.
Good.
A lot of it's
I have the Mulan elders in my head.
kind of, and a lot of them are overly cautious.
Or is it more Avatar?
Kind of both. And really it's its own thing. And the upshot of a lot of this is that
Bunch of old men in my head.
there's a lot of, well, and women, and there's a lot of, in many cases, overly cautious. They don't seem to err. They either err one way or the other, and the vast minority of them are maybe more reckless, and the majority being far more cautious. You never really heard. I mean, the Magus Everard certainly well known in the news a lot, but more for being sort of like a space
Boy,
time.
dilettante.
Yeah, sort of a space time useless playboy than actual evil. He was not well liked because the previous Magus had been on, part of the league and had done things, and that's what people had sort of gotten used to over the previous 70 years or so. And then the Magus came along and was like, yeah, but he's definitely much closer to the mold of the Magi that you have in your head, in the sense of them never really doing anything. Not that, I mean, he was more blatant about it. Like, I'm going to date
Cosmic powers. Tiny little thing.
I have ultimate cosmic powers, and I'm going to use them to date alternate reality versions of hot chicks that wouldn't go anywhere near me in the real world because they know I'm kind of a jerk, and I'm going to go someplace where, random, Ariana Ariana Grande never got famous, and I'm going to rescue her from a life of
not having me.
I'm not having me by letting her, by fixing all of that. And he, like I said, he tends to fall much more into that mold of not doing anything, and you realize it's because when anything that you touch is like potentially screw stuff up, especially if you're all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, Jeremy Baramy about everything, the potential for you not only obviously everything you do can change the future. It doesn't really matter if you're living in linear time. If you're not, you get to see the repercussions of the horrible crap that you did.
Over and over again.
So consequently, they tend to do a lot of sitting on their ass. Even the sorcerer or even the magus that was part of the HHL really didn't necessarily, occasionally showed up and blasted a dude, but didn't remake reality very often.
Did not work to the full extent of his license.
And given the sort of minefield in a tornado that you just sort of warped your way out of, you can kind of see why. Although you can, at the same time, it's like, you have this much power, you can't figure out a better solution than just doing nothing. There's that thought as well. You're getting my couch all wet with your head.
I'll get over it.
Anyway, so where do you then
Where I fall?
Where do you step out of this? Very carefully back into Halcyon City, well ahead of when you left, or well after when you left, or what?
My intent was to bring the others to me here, and talk as a bit of a team.
That I mean, the easiest thing to do there would be to just open up basically just open up a door back to Adam. Basically.
Oh.
That's the easiest
That
thing.
was, yeah.
Okay. I'm not even gonna make you roll for that because there's certain aspects of this thing. The place will eventually solidify into a place with rules. Right now it's a little bit more flexy. So Adam, there's a
knock at your cosmic door.
There's a
beautiful French door.
Well,
Yep, just door out into nowhere.
just kind of just sitting there next to the statue.
Yeah.
What do you do? Everyone else
Hey
is still kind of
guys,
there.
Charlotte wants to talk, pointing at the door.
Or not even a French door. Just have a gazebo be there. You step into the gazebo and the gazebo fades out, and it's a TARDIS gazebo.
I didn't know we had a gazebo.
The gazebo has a solarium. No, it doesn't even make any sense.
Really, really ornate gazebo.
Sorry, we're trying to make sense now.
When did this happen? Why wasn't I informed? All right, so
We're making sense now?
in any case, a space that you can pass through to get to where everybody's sort of together. Let show. Are we all doing that?
Sure.
What's the
Yeah.
interior? Charlotte, what do they step into?
So the gazebo itself is sort of a classic white, not quite Victorian. It doesn't have quite the frou-frou of Victorian, but white lattice with sort of benches all around with cushions on them. There's a small in the middle, which is odd because it's actually gravity fed, so I'm not quite sure how it's working in the middle of nowhere now.
Ripped straight from the set of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Then you can kind of see a fuzzy grass around you, and then it kind of fuzzes into kind of almost
Watercolors.
impressionistic background.
Summer, how you doing?
Doing okay.
What you doing?
Waiting to hear where I am, I guess.
Charlotte kind of gave. You can hear Charlotte, right? I'm just going to double check because technical difficulties have suddenly like scared me. What do you guys do? Somebody speak up. Tell me what's going on. Charlotte is there.
If people come in, I will graciously welcome them.
Charlotte is there, kind of this, brooch in one hand, the mage's staff in the other.
Oh boy. We just keep running against, one reality twisting person after another.
No, you keep being one reality twisting person after another.
Don't call us out like that.
As a group.
I think Alicia was using the royal we in that case.
Yeah.
Well, I was including Dr. Infinity in there.
Yeah. Okay, fair. But technically, she's part of the we too if you go back far enough into her
That's
timeline.
fair. I mean, Summer's not going to be the one to say something. She find out what's going on, so that's
sure.
Well,
sure.
and as people step in, I graciously welcome them and just sort of phrase,
You're
well,
probably wondering what's going on.
have a bit to talk about.
So am I.
It looks that way.
So, in the interest of time, and we may have if there's a conversation that we really need to suss out, we could certainly do that. However, an alternative might be a nice pithy. There's some things we need to sort out. That kind of fades out, and then the next page and next panel is 2 months later.
Sure. Unless there's questions that people want to.
Yeah, exactly. So
Before
which way do we think that should go? Because I'm very curious to kind of do the 2 months later and then find out from each of you what that looks like. But if we have stuff that we really ought to sort out nuts and bolts wise, I mean, we don't need to role play through you guys figuring out what just happened to Charlotte because we all know what just happened to Charlotte. You know, and the readers all know what just happened to Charlotte, so we don't need to go through that really again. And we all know what's happened to you guys, so we don't need to go through that again. So, yeah, I guess we're all steering this bus. So what do we think?
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say since it's my party, I'm gonna let all of you guys go first.
Yeah. Hostess is right.
Well, speaking kind of from meta level,
which is what I'm asking. I mean,
the one sort of question that I had as to how things were going to then turn out was, given what was already happening with the group, we were down to basically 3 of us, one of whom has now become, a magus above, a magus dealing with all of time and space.
Yep.
So Summer, you want to go hang out at the beach?
Well, that's what the thing is. I think. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to just go. It's been 2 months. What's up with you guys? And have and have you guys sort of answer those questions as to where things are.
Was there anything else that people wanted to cover from the day of before we do that?
I mean, certainly there's stuff to be sorted out there, but I'm very much hands off the reins as far as any of this goes. I'm just curious to see, what graduation day looks like.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
Bill, I heard you mic up, but I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm good as well.
Okay. Harry?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have some things we need to work out, and then we kind of go and we get, so 2 months later. So yeah, we got the panel. 2 months later, Gardner Academy. Graduation day. Those are the little, that's the text up in the yellow box in the corner kind of thing. People like there's sort of a crowd, a bit of a crowd, people, kids, younger kids kind of running around, parents all kind of dressed nice. And
The circumstance playing in the background.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, yeah, not even, yeah. That actually starts up, and people are like, "Oh, crap!" We need to get, and people start filing and getting down in seats and actually sitting and that sort of stuff.
But it's the dubstep.
The dubstep version.
I thought Pumpkin Circumstance couldn't get worse.
And then
They'll find a way.
Somebody dropped the bass. Yeah, there's the principal comes up and says, now we'll hear from our elected, the spokesperson elected from the student body. Hot mess gets up. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, there's who's the guest speaker? So there's quietly in the back, people. There's a television reporter is kind of like, another year at Gardner Academy, another batch of year of superheroes graduating from this illustrious, superheroes and other, the most promising young adults of Halcyon City, ready to step into a larger world. That kind of thing kind of going on. It sort of fades off into little ellipses kind of thing as they're, apparently graduation day at Gardner gets a little bit of news coverage from the locals at least. Principal or member of the what am I thinking of? The group that's sort of the administrative board, or one of the the board members, chairman of the board,
the school board,
school board, kind of like
the
superintendent of schools or whatever else is, steps up and introduces guest. Who's the guest speaker? Who would be the guest speaker? Hecate. Now,
Tatanka.
Ooh, Tatanka. Yes. I love it. That's great. So Tatanka gets up. Bit of a nod. Who does he nod to? He gives a little bit of a wink to A10, who kind of rolls her eyes. But who does he give? Has enough happened in the last couple of months for him to give at least a little nod to Alicia? Kind of a thing, or something.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, things have, in some ways, kind of the end of all of that craziness has led to kind of a little bit more.
So there's been some interaction there at the superhero level. So if he gives the nod, what does she do back? Finger guns?
No,
of course not. Yeah, but
of raised eyebrow.
Now is it the raised eyebrow of what are you doing up there? The raised eyebrow, what are you going to say? The raised eyebrow of, can you believe this?
Really, you're giving a nod to me here in the
in the middle of the speech kind of thing.
In the middle of the speech kind of thing. Subtle much?
Yeah, very nice. So he gets up and does his speech. It is at the time very moving, and 2 hours later infinitely forgettable, as are almost all graduation speeches.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the student speaker? Who's the valedictorian?
I'm going to nominate
Sen-
TK.
I was gonna say Jason.
No,
Jason's
been way too uninvolved in stuff.
I was gonna say
who did
Leo nominate, or who did Bill nominate?
I thought TK would be suitable.
Oh, telekinesis.
Telekinesis.
Just in terms of like scholastic achievement, he's got the grades because he does the work, and you guys are kind of like, doing what's required. I gotta see, because I have questions. I was thinking about this while I was driving today. Like, Leo doesn't Does Leo end up going to college?
Uh,
Is there a point?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Probably not. Like he's got stuff to do.
Just for the show of it.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, valedictorian TK, and you got like a row of hyper geniuses in the front row going, dude, we couldn't be bothered. And this dude manages to do he's at the same. I mean, there's been some smack talk in the last couple of months. Yeah, you can't be bothered being a superhero and having to do all your homework and stuff. It's impossible. There's no way anybody could do it, says the guy who's on a super team and totally just nailed valedictorian. Consistently, though, frequently, the valedictorian tends to go to somebody who's not a superhero who happens to also be attending Gardner, because they can specialize in being a normal, good student. Yeah, TK comes up, does his speech, calls out, his teammates, the other superheroes, calls for greater inclusivity, greater awareness of the pressures. He spends probably half of his 10 allocated minutes eviscerating the concept of millennials or aughts or onesies or whatever the hell they're being called in the current generation, and how every generation has always had these same things leveled at them, and they became the greatest generation. They became the baby boomers. They became this, became that. They became the golds. They became the silvers. They became the bronze. They became, the greatest heroes of their generation, because it's always going to be their generation. And, remember that that's what you're capable of, and the rest of you remember that that's what we're capable of. And that's about, what people are going to remember later is he spent a lot of time making fun of people who make fun of millennials. And that's going to be the headline that gets to the Halcyon Herald, valedictorian speech calls out generational haters, kind of thing.
Well, just generational stereotyping.
There you go, generational stereotyping. Graduate, you guys still honor students. Come on, you're not going to completely slack off. So Leo's there. Numa's up in that sort of group. Jason, Alicia, sitting together.
Yes.
My daughter. Yes.
Well, generally you get seated
You're alphabetical.
alphabetically so that they can hand out the diplomas.
Yeah, but
However, if the honor students, if there are less than, or since there are fewer of them, it's a higher likelihood that they'll be seated near each other.
yeah, in weird group.
Sure.
They're going to be grouped up on their own little thing so they can kind of sort their own thing out. They're like, Adam, where are you sitting?
Probably like out in the crowd somewhere.
Who's with you? Did the whole family come?
Yeah, I think it's like the whole family and probably like a couple of the other kids who are not graduating right now. Like Carrie's probably there, and then
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
who else would be.
she's a junior. Nono's graduating, also honors. Taz is not. Was not a senior. When it's like, sticking around for another year, still gotta keep my eye on you. The best kept secret that isn't a secret. Pietro's graduating. Is Kid Kelvin a senior? Stingray was. I don't know if Kid Kelvin was or not. That kind of thing. So it's a mix. Tell us about. So you're sitting there. Are you? And your mom kind of glances over at you, and you glance back at her, and we see like you getting home when you first like sort of step that we see a French door appear on the sidewalk outside of your house, and you kind of step out of it, and we see you walking up, and sort of do you turn do you kind of fade back to Adam? Do you walk in as Concord when you're walking in the house, or what do we see?
He would have faded back, before. So
like as he was
Yeah.
stepping out.
yeah, probably, or before he stepped out or something.
So one of you, your mom or you, are she's the one who's there when you come in. One of you is eventually going to be the one who says something first. Who says something first, and what do you say? What do they say?
Ooh, this is a tough one.
If you don't want to say what your mom would say, just say it's your mom, and I'll figure out.
I'm gonna say it's my mom, or I'm gonna say it's Adam's mom, and we'll figure. Cause I feel like she would never be at a loss for words, and
You're
right now is going to be like a really trying time for that.
She is in the kitchen, and she turned around. She's got her arms kind of crossed and kind of wrapped around her, and she's looking not really at you, but sort of at the floor between you two. You know how Jordan is always in our front room, in the sitting room, and playing her little adventure games when there's no one to play with, where she's jumping all over the furniture and making all of the action noises with her mouth, and amuses herself that way until she has somewhere to be, and she'll do that forever. Now, this morning, today, she was shouting, "Buy the Concordance," and various other things that I'm pretty sure I've never read about in the news that she suddenly decided were your new catchphrases. And there's just a hint of a little turn up of a smile in the corner. And then she stopped in the middle of the ottoman and looked absolutely stricken and said, "Oh no, I have to go and do my homework. I can't save the world right now. My mom's calling, and I've got to put away my laundry." And she raced back into her bedroom, and "I can't, oh, it's all too much." And she threw her hand to her forehead and pretended to swoon as she fell back into her bedroom. And she laughed and she laughed, and I haven't seen her have that much fun when you weren't here in ages. And we tried to have a conversation about how she had to not say anything, and she gave me such a look. She gave me, I don't want to know what she's going to look like as a teenager, and now I know. She gave
Mom,
me such a
I'm
look.
not stupid.
Mom.
So I wouldn't have done it that way, but I suppose it's going to work out. So I suppose it's going to work out. And then we're kind of back in the. So that's our little flashback. So you glance at mom, mom glances at you. What do you do there in the stands, in the seats?
I don't think he really does much of anything. It's just sort of like that, sort of like, it's kind of like that sort of smile, and he looks over there, and it's just like, yeah.
Not really a wink. Not really a wink kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like, yeah, kind of like I think she gives him kind of like this sort of like look, and it's just like, it's like 3 more years before I have to deal with this.
Two. Actually, she says two, and your dad is already saying it, and he didn't really even seem like he was paying attention to the conversation. And
What was that?
I said she says two, and your dad also says two at the same time, and he didn't really look like he was paying attention to the conversation. It's basically like just as an aside, as he's sort of watching everything. Jordan, meanwhile, is like calling out people he knows, people that she knows, waving to Carrie, who waves back, and pointing out, Numa and Leo and Jason Quill and Harry, and just oh, that's so and so, and he's Kid Calvin, and both all this other kind of basically trying to. She doesn't get to come to Gardner very often, so she's kind of enjoying spotting, sort of superhero spotting. Billy's, I mean, I know this is a weird question. Is Summer a senior?
No, like all of them are juniors.
All of them are
basically,
juniors.
they missed a grade because of their experience with Leo's dad. Essentially, they lost enough time that they got held back in school. They couldn't show the grades. They had disciplinary problems. There's just a lot of stuff that happened with Leo specifically that held him back.
So Leo isn't.
So if
Leo isn't graduating either.
Well, it's an option. Like if he decides that he needs to get out of school and just concentrate on his other stuff, and Gardner permitted them to test out, essentially, then he might do that. But otherwise, he would stay.
Interesting. So really, we're looking at not the Newmans up there, but Jason and Alicia, or is it Alicia? Is Alicia there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Alicia, Jason. No, some of them, but not everybody. Charlotte.
Harry.
Sorry, Harry. Charlotte, where are you?
In the shadows.
Like under a tree?
You're not hanging out with the cool kids.
Like sort of like
school here.
like a shade tree, kind of off to the side, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But who's with you? Or are you by yourself? Have you isolated yourself, or are you?
No, I have one of the non-graduating ponies with me.
Well, there's lots of non-graduating ponies, because some of them are younger, some of them are there's a couple that are older.
I'd probably have a couple of the older ponies with me.
I feel like
ones that don't want to be in the middle of things.
Well, and so what about since we now know Summer, Aria, Leo aren't necessarily graduating, are they maybe with you, or is it more the ponies? Because it could be Mari could be there. Pietro gives you kind of a shy wave, unsure wave, because that's sort of his thing with you somehow.
I politely did not read the however many text messages he asked me not to read them.
No, and thankfully they don't have subject lines, so he couldn't, re. Where are you?
I would say it's up to the Newmans if they want to be. I mean, if they want to be to the side with me, I'm happy to have them. But if they want to be kind of part of the
seated
student
crowd
body,
yeah.
Well, I'm thinking like the student body.
Yeah.
I imagine they'd be happy to hang out with you.
So yeah, I kind of like. So, I mean, Adam's doing it. sort of by the books, but he's there with his family, so of course he is. A little bit, at least until the ceremony's over. And when the ceremony's over, so when things get done at graduation, sort of people are just sort of milling around and everything. Your dad makes a point of going around and, Adam, your dad makes a point of going over, shaking hands with Harry, shaking hands with Jason, and kind of gives him a bit of a smirk, and Jason murmurs, or says, it's nice to see how well you've turned things, high honors. Nice to see how well you've turned things around since, earlier this year. Well done.
Yeah, Jason. Totally.
You're on mute, dear.
Jason
Going
blushes deeply.
Going after my dad with nanites.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just changed reality. I didn't
I didn't hurt anybody.
I think that Lucius might have something to say about that.
Let me think about this. Adam's mom actually sort of makes a point at one point of catching your eye, Charlotte, and just giving sort of a greeting nod, sort of through the crowd kind of thing. One of the few adult, it's certainly been a while, but remembers having interacted with you and recognizes that. Most of the Amari family will, have a good word for Leo and politely greet the rest of the Newmans.
Alicia?
What's that?
They know Alicia?
Does anybody know Alicia?
I don't think that the Amaris never really interacted with her because she wasn't there when they were doing
yeah, I don't think so.
Sergeant wouldn't have interacted during the training or anything like that, and she was never really over at the house unless it's been the last couple of months. So, speaking of the last couple of months, okay. Charlotte's around, but kind of off to the side, and kind of with the, hanging out with a couple of the ponies, Mari, who's kind of doing stuff with Jason, the Newmans, certainly, at least. And is Summer there with the Newmans, or was she with like the student body, or does she hang out with the family? What does she do? Where is her place in all this?
I think that she is kind of going to sit with the rest of that group. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So sort of framed. Nothing would be, no comments would really be made about Alicia, but sort of framed in the context of maybe that television reporter who's like sort of commenting on the events and just sort of providing that sort of C-SPAN level, we don't have anything else to show her, so we're just going to show people milling around the floor of the Senate for 4 hours kind of thing. Not my kind of news. That kind of commentary of, there's this person, there's this person, blah, blah, blah. There's Charlotte Palmer, known to some as Ghost Girl, who's been what? How does that public person who really only has sort of public knowledge sum up the last couple of months with Charlotte?
I'm gonna say that she's been a bit retiring of late, trying to absorb everything.
I mean, is there any mention
very,
of like
very supportive of?
Keep going.
was gonna say supportive of her friends. Is she out as the new magus? Ugh.
Yeah, as I'm wondering, it's like, stepping into her stepping
Have
into
you
her
come
new
out
role as
the gazebo?
have you come out of the gazebo? Stepping into her role as Magus Palmer. That kind of thing, or
On one hand, I would very much like to avoid having to, and since the previous magus was all over the place anyways, however, that can only last so long before it needs to
yeah,
kind of come out in an organized fashion.
yeah.
Sometime in the last 2 months, there's almost been some sort of crisis where
What? It's our game.
Charlotte.
Sometime in the last 2 hours after you guys got here, there's probably something as busy as we.
And here we have the supervillain.
I am
attending
the
graduation.
Yeah.
Nothing is below me.
Yeah. There is. I mean, so.
Yeah, I think she's probably known, but she's just in her ghost. She's in her solid girl look.
Has she been? Well, you're not really ghosty anymore because that never happened.
Right.
So that's not. I mean, yeah, formerly known as Ghost Girl, I guess. Now stepping into her role as Magus Palmer. So a little bit of a summary there. Adam, are you recognized and commented on by this television reporter? Or are you still basically under wraps, but at least out to your, like, Jordan? And is it just Jordan, or are we more out now?
No.
No? Okay.
It's just within the family.
Okay, but Jordan knows, and yeah. And it's actually gotten to the point in the last couple of months where, I mean, Jordan still, like, she realized very quickly that being caught playing hero, where you are imitating your brother and being witnessed playing hero, pretending to be your brother by your brother, is super embarrassing. So she doesn't get caught doing that anymore and has sort of doubled down on that my older brother is so annoying thing a little bit more. So there's a lot more eye rolls your direction now. So she's expressing her absolute adoration of you. That's not negotiable, or even arguable, by more often than not sort of expressing annoyance as a counteracting balance, kind of thing. So that doesn't get commented on. Leo might be. No is of course everywhere and smiling and hugging and all that sort of thing. And where does everyone go for the graduation party? Oh, I forgot about the Gales. Wait a second. Harry's there. The Gales are there. Of course, Gales have to say hello to everybody. And they literally, in order to say hello to everybody that they really, really want to say hello to, they decide that they're going to, well, at least Harry's dad decides he's going to solve that problem by literally saying hello to everyone. He takes idle chit chat to a new level. But it does.
I see them have the two of them have done this so many times before and worked the crowd that they unconsciously, that their MO is to divide the crowd and conquer. Mom goes one direction, dad goes the other direction. If Granny's there, she takes a quadrant. So I mean, it's part of that whole
and the
heritage
whole Gale family. I mean, Chase is there, obviously. Tatanka comes over and actually Andy's whole family is there. So between Andy's whole family being there and being Andy's whole family around Andy and Harry's family being Harry's family, there's at least a quarter of the graduation area that's sort of a chaotic, just cacophony of chatter and shouting and laughter and very heavily targeted embarrassment towards the graduate students. And it comforting neither of the teenagers that both families seem to get on like a house on fire.
It's always dangerous.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, your dad loves her family. Loves the food, loves the attitude. Meanwhile, all the women in Andy's side of the family just seem to kind of idolize Tempest. So gracious. She's such a lovely woman. And so real. Like they're talking about celebrities. Anyway. Which is funny because like there's 5 or 6 members of Andy's family who are, you know, around, you know, in various parts of the country, sort of at Tatanka, you know, doing superheroics as well. So it's not like that's exactly an unknown thing in that side of the family. But for some reason, it's different when it's not somebody you're related to.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, that. So you got it's your own brothers. Oh, that's just Thundercloud though. That's nothing. She's Tempest. Anyway.
What is the phrase about not being respected in their own house?
Exactly, and that is exactly how it is with Andy's family. But not today. Not today. Everybody's special. Where's the graduation party at?
I think it should be at the Quill compound. We haven't like, you know,
been to the Quill compound.
Embarrassed Jason enough. But Charlotte will
Jason,
take care.
Newly
Charlotte will take care of
rebuilt
this.
conversation pit.
Yeah, Jason would love to have everyone there.
The big thing, so we might be picnicking if we get the families there.
I can start gardens.
There's gardens. There's lots of. You know.
I'll take care of the food and the tents.
Very. Oh, nice.
What's the point of being a magician if you can't like throw a good party?
Big old clump of the staff on the floor, and suddenly tables pop up and gingham.
Be more subtle than that.
Boom. No.
I think I'm gonna lean more towards the summer rainbow power butterfly effect. Yeah,
Oh my
somber
God.
male faces.
Summer. Charlotte's been reading.
Chanting in Latin or something. Although I do like Latin.
Summer realizes in horror that Charlotte's been reading her fan fiction on Tumblr.
That's okay.
And sometimes Norno's fan fiction, which is even more worrisome.
Jason is a gracious host and kind of immediately goes into host mode.
There's a little bit of inevitable shop talk because, you know, Maury's sort of running that squad that's running, you know. Are the Concordance kids around, Adam? Did they get invited to this?
You know what? I imagine Adam is at some point. Adam and his family like split paths. And
yeah,
so
they're not going to hang out with the supers all day. Jordan would get too wound up.
Yep.
And
So Adam will show up as Concord.
Tell Summer hi. And she winks. Oh my God, she's terrible at winking.
One eye.
Only
one eye.
The whole body, yeah, English.
She winks, but it takes like one half of her mouth and her shoulder inexplicably, to get the wink to work. So you show up as Concord for the thing,
Mhm.
which is because and they'll show up you know, somehow looking awkward even as concordance agents and that sort of thing. And they do kind of, they obviously they stay together, but they also kind of almost,
Mingle?
when Adam mingles, they kind of trail along in his way. They're definitely, I mean, they're more comfortable when he's around. I think they're still trying to.
No, I imagine some of the ponies might take that as a challenge to get them to be social.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Adam. You it's like they're kind of talking amongst themselves, Adam, at one point, and they're kind of arguing and like not sure, and they're like, just ask him. We don't need to. I mean, we can just decide. Just ask him. What do you do?
It's like even with Concord's mighty empathy, I think it's going to be noticeable enough where he's like, hey guys, something you need to ask me? Vaguely pointing at himself.
What have you established is the typical concordance response to selfie requests?
So I think that's like Adam, like all of a sudden is like phone in hand is just like, so check this out. This is the first one I had, and
oh, it's the same girl. It's the same one who just asked us. Is she trying to collect them?
She collects all of them eventually, but
Gotta catch them all.
So you're saying
Yeah.
it's inevitable and we should just give in?
Yeah, just watch the flares. Just that stuff's going on Instagram.
All right, let's go in. And they they're about ready to like storm in, and they Red affixes a smile on his face.
Is it painful?
It looks like you know that thing that dentists use to spread the lips out away from the teeth so they can work on, that they turned into like sort of a table board game thing where you have to like pronounce words while the thing is in your mouth. It kind of looks like that. I don't know. Somebody needs to be able to Google that
I
horrible thing. You know what I'm talking about?
no, but I have I have a relevant comic.
I Googled for it, but I'm closing the tab now. 'cause goddamn.
It's not mine, but I think it's very fitting.
Oh, I don't know where the. Yeah, I don't know what the thing is called, so I don't know what to Google for.
Just dental mouth opener will do it.
Dental mouth. I have a picture of. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, Red's smile is supernatural. Actually, this is it right here. The girl on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I mean, and there's a non-zero number of people who kind of like initially recoil. Like, is he attacking? Harry's there, Andy's there, pretty much everybody. I mean, come on, everybody's there. Everybody of note. Did Pietro the Plasma Prince get an invite?
Yes, he did.
Of course he did.
Roger too.
What's that?
Should be there.
Who? You broke up on the name.
Armature.
Armature. Yeah, I mean, you know,
And the folks from Has-Beens.
the irregulators. I was gonna say Lucius. That's not right.
Yeah.
JC and those guys. So it's kind
Oh.
of everybody. Go ahead.
I have the most important question to ask.
Uh-huh.
Jason, did you hire the people from Blitzkrieg to
Decatur.
to cater?
No,
No.
she.
Charlotte's
I
taking
did
care of
the-
all of it.
Yeah. It would be weird to be there and then like not be working if all of your like coworkers are working. It's awkward. Charlotte would avoid that. Charlotte would know to avoid that. Daph's there. I got a question for Dave. We're gonna go around and ask. I'm not gonna ask you guys questions. I'm gonna have you guys ask questions, but I do have a question for Dave. Is Daphne
Mhm.
embracing the butterfly stuff right now, or is she still going, no, that's not for me? What do we see at graduation day?
What do we see at graduation day? It has been 2 months. That's like 50,000 words of cutscene.
100. I would say about at least 90. It's 2 months. I mean,
Yeah, really. So, she's not embracing it. She's trying to reach a compromise about it.
and maybe that compromise is hanging out with supers for her graduation party.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And she obviously does. She know? She doesn't know charade. She's just assuming you're here because boyfriend is here.
Yeah.
She doesn't call him Jason anymore. It's just boyfriend. Hello, boyfriend. That's how she goes up and greets him. Hello, boyfriend.
Nice.
Yeah. Alicia hasn't gotten around to telling her about that stuff yet.
But because the important stuff has already been.
The eventual team up comics a few months down the line.
Yeah.
In the meantime. So yeah, she's there. Oh, not Melvin. I know it's an M name. Damn it. Marion. Thank you. God. Marion's there. A couple of other kids are there. Actually, and this is that moment that I was thinking of. Just a little thing that I'm gonna put out there for I want to say Colin, and I know that's not right. Help me, Bill.
Sure, let's go with that.
Is it Colin? I can't remember.
It's not, but it is now. So
Sure. I have a hell of a name. This isn't actually me having a problem with the character. This is me being generally bad with names. There's no thing where he comes up to you, up to Summer or anything like that, but you do overhear a thing because he kind of screws up his courage and approaches Jason. And you catch part of the conversation. Not that you've been noticing that guy or anything like that, but you catch a conversation that is what you catch actually that gets your attention is the phrase robot rights or artificial. What would he say? Robot rights? Yeah, he would say robot rights, and that catches your attention. The next thing is obviously that's the crude term for it. What I'm talking about is the rights of artificial beings with sentience that aren't recognized. Now, it's easy to say, and you can tell there's a little bit of a rehearsed pattern here. It's easy to find support for an artificial person who looks like a person, who's beautiful, charming, brilliant, that sort of thing. But that's not what I want to talk about. Anyone can do that. I want to talk about the fact that no one's trying to fight for recognition and rights for a creation that's sentient that looks like this. And he shows like he like has got like a little that looks like he doesn't pull out a thing. It looks like a Rossum created Rook robot. No one is trying to fight for possibly a sentient, self-aware creation that happens to be working repairs for Quill Enterprises. No one's trying to find out if one of those old spider bots from back on the cartoon days, I don't even know if those really exist, but if one of those were self-aware, no one's trying to, fight for the rights of though it's easy when they look like people. These don't. And I feel like you could I want to are you interested in changing that perception? Because if you are, obviously you're really well positioned for that, but you're busy. And I would like to, but I would like to work with you on this, and because this is important to me. I feel like this is important. Not the easy ones, but the hard ones. And nothing has to happen of that. I'm not going anywhere with. I'm not trying to go anywhere with that. But that's like the sort of the like it looks like it's going to be this one thing, and it's not. He's got to like set himself some goal that's like, I want people to recognize the rights of a self-aware, murder spider bot created by Achilles.
The nefarious
Chin?
Dr. Chin.
Yeah, created by the nefarious Dr. Chin, who's recently taken up watercolor painting. Why are we exploring that? Why aren't we recognizing that? That kind of thing.
I want you all to just kind of picture Jason's face as he sees Summer standing behind this guy, listening to this conversation.
Talking about how it's so easy to recognize the rights of someone who's pretty and brilliant and remarkable, but who looks like a person, as opposed to this and this and this and this and this. Because while I think I love the idea of somebody who's like empathic to, or like has empathy for that artificial, the artificial life and what that means. I also love the idea of somebody who really, as much as they care about it, really doesn't know a goddamn thing about what he's talking about, and has decided what the issue is and how he's going to represent it.
Just as long as Alicia doesn't hear him defending the rights of spider bots, that's all I have to say.
I mean, even if she does, it's almost I have this picture in my head of her hearing that and starting forward, and Summer just holding out an arm, going, "No, just it is so not worth it."
I mean, I think Summer's face is going to be a real emotional roller coaster here too. But is Jason seeing that and trying to hold it together?
Is it a shared moment of quiet, like eye rolling hilarity, or is it empathy? You say a roller coaster of emotion. What kind of?
Well, it's like, oh, good. He cares about robot rights. This is very close to my heart. Why is he talking about beautiful? What? This is getting awkwardly close to stalking. Oh, now he's off of this topic. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Did he just dismiss me as too easy to defend?
Why is he talking about this? And on top of this, like, Numa began life as basically a black box on Leo's desk. So it's not like she's always looked like this. For the duration of their initial dating, she was very much artificial and looked at. And so, like, she's not, she totally gets like how it can be difficult for someone to see a machine that looks like that as a person. So she's kind of there with him.
So he's jumped straight.
She's not sure about the path he's taking.
That's the thing. He's jumped straight to that and skipped over. Yeah, but you have rights. He's like, oh, but the ones who look like people have it easy. Oh, really? Oh, really? Yeah. I never quite. We never got a point where that worked in, but I had put some thought into how he is earnest and right, and yet somehow misses the mark by virtue of his completely unaware, like, I don't privilege isn't quite the right word, but it's sort of that, and just sort of like self-assurance that this is a cause, and therefore because it's a cause, it is the right cause because I have a cause.
Yeah, it's that sort of moral myopia that new activists can sometimes have.
And so that was all I had for you, Bill, on him. But
Well, you nailed it, so good job.
I'm gonna go around. It's late. Do we have 20 more minutes?
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
10 or something?
I look at James because he's the one that has homework.
Right. I'm going to go around, and I mean, if you really have a thing that you want to make sure that everybody sees from your character, let's by all means do that. But if you don't, and you have something you really want to see or find out or hear about from somebody else, ask that. I ask about a thing with Dave. So I'll go to Dave. Think on your feet. Everybody else gets more time to think about this.
Yeah. At some point during the festivities, Jason gets up and holds up a tall glass of very tasty
Lemonade.
I was gonna say ice cream punch.
Ooh. Ooh.
Be good too.
Ooh.
It's
May.
it's June in North
In
Carolina.
Atlanta, yeah, in North Carolina, yeah.
It says just here's to a great bunch of people. You guys are all really special, and here's to you. And everybody, there's polite applause and huzzah, people drinking their punch or their lemonade or their iced tea. And then he turns to Alicia next to him and says, "Did you want to say anything?"
As he turns, she gets this look on her face like, "Watch it, steady." Well,
If
what is she?
looks could kill.
What does she actually say?
She gives him a long look, and she holds up her punch glass, which is full of unsweet iced tea.
Of course.
And says, "I've learned a lot of lessons from my time at Gardner. I look at the people around me and I see lessons that they've learned as well. And those lessons are that we're not and we don't have to be what people expect us to be. I've seen people who've rejected the path their family laid down for them. I've seen people who had, who made their way through the world. I've seen people who, had everything, all the odds against them, who've managed to succeed despite that. We've got this team here in Halcyon, it's got, that instead of calling itself the young heroes of the city, call themselves the Menagerie, because they were all just a bunch of people that didn't quite fit in, and yet they've all made their way. So thank you all for sharing that lesson with me." There's dead silence.
No. Who claps first though?
Summer will.
Summer will.
I was gonna say Charlotte, Summer.
Bill, do you have a scene or a question?
Not
Request?
really. Summer's kind of here incognito anyway,
Yeah.
as herself, and she's not recognized as part of the team. She's continuing to live her quiet life as, a student and barista and other things. So she's just kind of here basically as like Leo's girlfriend's sister.
Yeah. Well, there's a
So she's
couple.
still-
I mean, there's a couple people that know, like Maury.
Oh, obviously, but
yeah, yeah, it's pretty unknown. Friends of lots of people, but for someone who's on the outside, it's about. I feel like there should be an interaction between her and Daphne, but that would be.
We talked about it, but I definitely got the feeling that Dave considered Daft kind of settled, and so left that alone.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm always happy to see people make use of characters. So if there was anything that you wanted to do with her, she might even apologize for her comment about those weird Leo groupies.
I'm wondering though. I mean, does she? What's her? How does Summer show up on her radar in terms of like? Because she and Alicia talk all the time, but how does Summer show up on her radar? Or does she? Does she?
Do you know that you're roommates?
Well, yeah, actually, I mean, they probably, because I think there was kind of at one point to kind of introduce them, and that probably has happened sometime over the last couple of months.
Right. You're both Alicia friends and kind of like
both Alicia friends and
sort of.
I don't know if I make a joke about butterfly motifs, but since I was kind of also part of the original thought there.
This is Summer. She also likes butterflies. Go.
Yeah.
Adam.
But if nothing else, they would cross paths at some point
Sure.
over at Alicia's place.
Sure. Adam, questions or scene or bit or thing? Requests?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay. Harry?
I figured. Yes, I did. I figured at some point an adult would kind of corner him and go, "So, what are your plans now that you've graduated? Should we be looking forward to seeing Mercury join the HHL?
And
Following in your parents' footsteps?"
I think I can see that actually happening at the so we see
into graduation parties.
Yeah,
Yes,
we see.
yes, it would happen.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I'm picturing like so Harry's kind of hang out sort of quietly on the side a little bit, and almost actually flashing back to part of the actual like stuff out at the high school, because that's when like a lot of people are walking up to people who know you but aren't close to you and would ask those kinds of questions. And so my question, this is very straight. We're pretty well. I think the ground's pretty well covered as far as what the answer is. Do you answer, or does Silver Streak kind of zoom in to frame and kind of like Harry's taking a little time off from the team thing, gonna be a solo hero, gonna try things on his own, forge a new path. We've all been team people, Gale people. They've really got a chance to shine on our own, and he's gonna do that. He's gonna be the first one. He's gonna do it all on his own. He's gonna show us all up.
All in the span
In
of
one breath?
Yeah, it's all in one breath. So is it Harry or is it okay if the dad kind of does that, like he's really kind of owned it, like this is the message now?
I think Harry will do it on his own, kind of.
Okay, all right.
Signifying that bit of a branching off from the family legacy.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that too. I like either one of those things. But I mean, you have hit a number of times. Harry has hit a number of times those little checks on the family and what the family thinks of you, and it's always been not just positive, but increasingly positive. Like the number continues to come in higher. So the family's
They've
behind
gone
this.
on to the eggplant
Yeah,
scale.
but the family has they are behind this. Because not because of like they've analyzed the option and decided that they're behind it because it makes sense. They're just behind Harry. Harry's doing it. Harry's got it sorted out. It'll be fine. So
Harry has filed all of the appropriate paperwork with the Aegis to be a roaming hero. Knows the protocol for joining into another team's takedown.
yeah. Knows not to tag already tagged mobs. No. Has been briefed by Waters on the authorities that are internationally recognized in various parts of the world that you didn't already know about, or and if you do get in trouble with these guys over here in France and he hands a business card over, this is the number you need to call. Mention my name. He owes me.
They're sometimes a bit.
If you're in Germany, call this number. Give them
You're gonna have the Waters Rolodex.
Yes. If you're in Germany, call this number. I owe her, but I can probably talk her into cutting you a break. And it kind of goes through all these things. If you're in China, kid, you are out of luck. Stay out of China. That kind of thing. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Given the official thing. Charlotte, requests, questions, a little bit of scene.
Yeah, so I breathe and Dave types something. It makes me scared that he's pause. Yeah, thank you. Love you too, dear.
And you can hear it. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, it's that
loud.
that 1970 keyboard.
This is all going to be this is all going to be recorded.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there was a couple of things sort of thinking about what people were going to be doing, beyond this. I kind of have a scene in mind of after the party, just the core group of kids sitting around in the conversation pit, watching stupid stuff on, fighting over who has control of the YouTube feed on the TV as they play different things, and someone pulls up like the original, the original interview.
With oh God, Tasha Starr.
Yeah, the original interview with Tasha Starr, and somebody else pulls up the Blitzkrieg pony Q&A, and just like sitting back, laughing at ourselves a little bit.
Footage of like the very first cemetery fight with Jason's flying disc falling out of the sky.
Well, I think that's that we've actually created a little GIF with that. That it just falls and comes back and falls. And comes back and
No,
falls.
Jason, look! It loops. You hit the ground every 5 seconds.
We're putting together a compilation reel of all the times
Then some sweet pictures from prom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, the kind of the last frame is to Everard's mansion where she's staying.
Oh, you commandeered Everard's mansion?
Hmm.
Did you get rid of all of the velour?
Let's just say I got rid of like all the sheets first.
I would say, yeah, redo all the upholstery.
Do not go into the basement.
What is that? There's a line. This is entirely inappropriate, but there's a line from the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, "Do not turn on a black light in here. It looks like a Jackson Pollock. It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting." Um, anyway, um, and so yeah. So the last thing we see is kind of like you returning to the thing and walking in and kind of like, this is mine now. This is like that the sort of that sense of ownership.
Kind of a full circle sort of thing.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Maybe walking through the graveyard to get there, but yeah.
Interesting. Oh, you walk. Ah, that's neat. You kind of like walk up to the hill on the hill of the cemetery and just sort of just keep kind of walking up at the top of the hill up to like into sort of this sort of pathway that leads up to the mansion, which isn't there and not there and that sort of thing. Love it.
You had to use the power of your stone and stuff to get it to actually show up on the picture.
Nice.
It's got the little twinkle light, twinkle sparkly things around it to show that it's not,
There's a
not entirely visible.
there's a thing that happens at the end of these kinds of events, graduations, that kind of thing, because it feels like the end, but it's just another new chapter. It's not the end. It's the beginning kind of thing. But at the same time, it's that there's a lot of lingering. The easiest example, my wife always calls it book hangover, when you finish a really good book and you don't want to start or really do anything else, but certainly not start another book because you're still kind of
enjoying the aftertaste.
But at the same time kind of sad that you're done, and it's mournful at the same time. And there's a sense of that because things have changed, things have moved on. The next day is just so it's not as big a thing. Adam's maybe the first one to leave because it's not. He's got school. He's got 2 more years of school. For some, I don't know that there is as much of that because Harry's been ready for this for a long time. So it's the next day. What the next day? What do we see? We see, we see Adam trying to sleep in, and his sister, sneaking in the room because she's bored and waking him up, and him kind of like halfway shoving himself up under his elbows, and her just chattering away, and showing him a book and just talking, and the camera's kind of like looking at them through the door and just panning past to the wood paneling, and to the hallway wall, and and as it pans into Leo's workshop and what he things that he's working on, and Otto kind of in the background, and Arya right there, and getting a call, Arya getting a call and answering it and talking, and we get her near twin. Summer's walking down the street, and she's talking to her and animated, but at the same time, it's not just happy chit chat. It's like things that it's the conversation is clearly, it's not serious, it's not carefree, it's checking in, and here's what's going on, and I'm walking to work, so I can't talk for long, and walking in, and walking into Blitzkrieg, and waving to a couple of people. Nono's just walking out as she's walking in, and gives a hug and gestures saying, "I gotta go, but I'll be back later," kind of body language, and she's going in, and she's you see her there, and getting ready to go, pulling on the apron and tying it off, and then her phone buzzes and she looks down and it's like a what does the "we need you right now" kind of
This
image
is
on
bat
this?
signal.
Yeah, what does the bat signal on her phone look like if it's being sent by Alicia?
So there's a butterfly emoji, but I think there's also going to be like the girl with the hands crossed and like the strikeout sign in front of it.
Nice. So yeah, it's just it's that, and so we're not seeing, this is all like, I guess if it were TV, there's music playing. We're seeing this without any dialogue or anything like that. So we see her glance to the thing, and we see her start to like undo the thing, and the phone gets tucked away, and she turns back to somebody's like, I've got to. The body language is all, I've got to go. Points to the phone. What can you do? I'll be back as fast as I'll be back quick. But I, already kind of walking to the door, and them nodding and gesturing, go, go, go. It's fine. You know the kind of trust that you get from a place where you work, where they know that you're going to be back, and it's not just you being a slacker, but sometimes things come up, kind of a thing. And her walking down the street, but then immediately turning into an alley, and um uh Alicia's there, except it's charade, and she's tapping a thing on her wrist, and there's a little like 3D array that kind of comes up over. Actually, I just saw this text, so I'm gonna steal it because it looked pretty cool. It's a wristband that has just enough of a bulge at the tendon kind of area that it can project the cell phone screen basically onto your forearm. And she's kind of using that and kind of showing and indicating what's going on. And Summer's already transforming, doing the, switching over. And back in the alley a little bit, you can see that Charade's bike is back there, and she starts walking towards it. As Radiance is already shifting there, and so we started with, gonna work my way back through this, and with it, what's that? Yeah, I know. And we're going through the the camera as they're going out through the back, and the bike's raising up, and Radiance is taking off, and we pan up. We're panning up even higher to kind of looking at the the larger city, and off in the distance, kind of, we see like that streak that we get from the whatever the speedster effect is, kind of jagging its way out towards the edge of the city, and heading out of the city and away, while kind of above it in a much straighter line, not as fast, but in a much straighter line, a flying figure that you can just get a glint of, sort of this Thunderbird after image heading the same heading the same direction. And we pan up even higher to kind of a actually, where I'm gonna yeah. We pan up even higher to the app, as to where we're seeing the seaboard and past clouds, and the sky kind of fading out, and looking down at this beautiful blue and green marble from low orbit. And we pan back even further. We're not looking at it from space now, we're looking at it from a darkened, sort of viewing pool, like kind of a bird bath kind of thing, at Charlotte looking down at it from somewhere in the Magus mansion, like in a pool, and looking at it and starting to turn away, and then turning back and frowning as something comes into view, kind of like in the star field, where you start to see some stars being occluded, and kind of squinting at it and frowning, and then sort of shaking her head and going and just sighing like, here we go. And that's where we stop. Kind of a time to get to work sort of thing.
Putting down the teacup.
Putting down, oh, I love that. That's so much better. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of shy, shaking her head and kind of sighing and setting aside the teacup and reaching out and grabbing the staff. And that's like the last thing we see. There we go. And that's going to be after we stop, because eventually we got to stop. It's late. Except for Harry, where it's early. I think I must have killed the connection before from shocking my damn computer, which I keep doing. And yes, I'm barefoot this time. Okay. That's where we're at.
Blame the new carpet.